Hi everyone, I'm starting a YouTube channel from soup to nuts, from this very beginning steps to the end, super advanced paintings. So we're going to start with how to set up your Tim Holtz palette, my favorite palette. But my top row is yellows. I always keep my palette in the same way. You'll know where your paint is, you'll know your colors, and this is my particular palette. So my first one, I'm pouring, just cover the bottom, because this ink tends to crawl up the sides, and it will get messy. But you know what, I don't care. I even paint the sides sometimes. So that's Dandelion. This is Sunshine Yellow. And I'm letting it dry. This is called a dry palette. And this one here is Honeycomb. And I can add more because it's not really covering the bottom. There you go. It doesn't take long to dry depending on where you live. And this is Sunset Orange. So as you can see, I'm going down in value. I'm using the color wheel. I'm heading towards red, yellow to red. And this one here is Valencia, which is like a blood orange. That's our yellow row, and that's how I start doing it. And always put your ink colors in the same spot all the time. My next row, I sometimes will skip a row and I'll do reds. I'll skip a row and do greens and blues. And so just set up your palette the way you like, but it needs to be done this way. This way, when you go to paint, you're not like, oh, what color is that? It's all dark. Because once it gets dark, you won't know what colors they are. Now I'm going to show you a palette. Here's a well-used palette. This is my palette. And you can see in the beginning it was crawling over, but it doesn't matter. I use all these areas in between. Sometimes I want some mixed color and then I'll bring it up here. I do not dry. I use this area for mixing, and I let this dry out, and I don't throw it away unless I really don't want it. I'll just spritz it, and I save my dirty napkins, and then I'll just go and clean out my palette. Now I got a nice clean area to work all the time, because I want my color to change. Otherwise it gets kind of cartoony looking. Sometimes you want it cartoony, but sometimes you don't. So just put a little alcohol in there and it cleans right up. I'm not going to continue doing that, but just so you know. Go into some red and come up here and paint. Now I can control how thick my ink gets or how juicy it is. Sometimes I want it juicy, and I'm going to get into those things later, but I just want to show you how to work the palette. See how I use less and less ink comes off? See how dark that is and how light this is? Less and less on my brush. I'm going to tap off on my brush and I bring more alcohol in. So you can control your value this way. I also, sometimes I'll put some snow cap in the, one of these. This is my mixy road that I like. I'll mix colors up here. If your snow cap gets dirty, you spritz on it. Take that napkin, give it a second, and lift. You see, you can clean your white. So don't worry if it gets a little polluted, and I don't really care. Sometimes I want a little warmth in it, but it cleans right up. So that's fine. I love my alcohol, but when I clean my brush, it gets really dirty. Do not throw this away. This is new alcohol. I save it and pour old dirty ink into it. It'll evaporate and make a crust at the bottom if it's dry. And you can reactivate it if it's dried out. I don't think I have one that is dry right now, but it's like this at the bottom of your jar. If you leave it uncovered, this will dry down to this and you can reactivate it just like that. So don't throw this away. It's great for sketching. Dirty ink is great for sketching. So let's say you get an idea, you want to make a flower here, you want to make maybe some bumblebees and maybe a leaf here, and then you changed your mind. You can also blot. So this is how I use my dirty ink to give myself a thought. Because if I really don't like it, I can just spritz it and pretty much take most of it off. Okay, so that's how you use your dirty ink. And you can also use it for other ways, but for now, this is just about the palette and not about techniques right at this point in time. Okay, so let's say now it's all dry. See that? Nothing's happening. If I take a brush, nothing's happening, right? All you do is take a little alcohol, reactivate it, and control the density of color. I come up here, I can mix colors. I love this. I don't throw these away. I only clean it if I know I'm doing a brand new painting that's going to use a certain color. Say it's green, I need to get rid of the reds. Otherwise I'm going to get mud. So otherwise I just keep the colors. I use them in the color. See this little green there? Look how that dulled that area down. Real pretty. That's how you use the palette. It's great for traveling. You can take this palette anywhere. I took it to Hawaii. And you can bring this on an airplane because all of the chemicals that are flammable are dry. So it isn't flammable anymore. Well, as you can see, this is still a little wet, but it'll be dry in no time. In about a half an hour, it'll be all dried out. It'll be like a crust at the bottom. And that's how you use your Tim Holtz alcoholing palette. It's an awesome palette. And it's my favorite. I've used many different kinds. And this is the best because the wells, there's so many. And like I say, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Also, I just want to let you know that if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. You can message me. You can see me on Facebook. Please contact me. My email is sakharris@hotmail.com. And happy painting. Let's fill up those wells.